back to you.
All right, Max. Jeff Jagger kicks off to begin the preseason, and Ed Hervey takes it at the 9. And finally down at the 31-yard line. Nice return to start the ball game for Edward Hervey and John Morton on the tackle for the Raiders. Hervey, of course, with the 60-yard touchdown reception in the scrimmage against the Oilers Wednesday night in Austin. Troy Aikman will play early in this game, depending on how things go early. Could play a series, could play much of the first quarter. You see some of his numbers from 1995. Aikman now in his 8th year out of UCLA. Stepfret Williams will start at a wide out to the right, with Kevin Williams out to the left. Daryl Johnston and Dominique Ross are the running backs. Aikman to throw on first down and to throw deep down the right sideline. Incomplete, intended for Stepfret Williams, and a flag is thrown at the 40. James Trapp on the coverage. Babe, an early potential hookup that we were interested in looking at throughout the night happens right off the bat as Aikman goes to the rookie.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's a ball that Stepfret Williams would like to catch.
Pass interference, number 27, defense, first down.
Even though he was interfered with, Mike, he did have a clean shot at the football.
James Trapp is called on the interference, so the Cowboys have first down yardage at the Raiders' 45-yard line.
And I guess, Mike, it only figures the Raiders tied for the lead last year with Detroit in penalties. It figures they would start their 1996 preseason with a penalty.
Both teams using several second and third team players out of necessity in some cases, choice in others. We'll set the lineups for you in a moment. Aikman again to throw on first down. Again, a Stepfret Williams. And again, he can't come up with it as it's thrown out of his grasp on the far sideline, and Trapp again on the coverage. Here we go with the Dallas Cowboys lineup on offense, brought to you by Miller Lite. Aikman with Ross, the free agent. Emmett sits tonight. Daryl Johnston will see some early action. Bjornsson for Novacek, then Williams and Stepfret Williams, Kevin Williams and Stepfret Williams. Offensive line intact for the starters, with the exception of Shiver for Donaldson, who continues to rehab, and Hegeman for Eric Williams, who struggles with the sore toe. Second down and 10 for the Cowboys. Aikman to Dominique Ross, and a gain of 2. Ross, a second-year player from Valdosta State, will get a lot of work tonight. Anthony Smith on the tackle. Here we go with the Raiders defense now. They too are plugging in some new people, with the exception of the defensive line. That'll be their starting unit this year. Smith, Maryland, the former Cowboy, McLaughlin, and Pat Swilling, who had 13 sacks last year. The linebackers, Fredrickson, Morton for the injured Beekert, and Mike Jones. The starting secondary includes Trapp for McDaniel, Larry Brown, who will battle with Albert Lewis for the start, Lorenzo Lynch and Darren Carrington in the defensive backfield for the Raiders. And there's Swilling in his 11th year out of Georgia Tech. You look at this Raiders roster, some big names, some veterans who've done some good things in other places. We'll talk about that as the night goes on as well. Second down and 5 for the Cowboys as we're just underway, and Daryl Johnston with his first carry in preseason falls ahead for perhaps a yard. Swilling made the stop.
Preseason or no, you know Daryl Johnston isn't hitting the secondary. It's that 1 yard and a cloud of brand new AstroTurf down there.
DJ now in his 8th year out of Syracuse. He has played in 125 consecutive games. He's never missed a regular season or postseason game as a Dallas Cowboy, a Pro Bowler in 93 and 94, the Moose. Now 3rd and 4 for the Cowboys. If that turf looks a little brighter, a little greener than usual, it is brand new sports turf that the Cowboys are playing on. 3rd down and 4. Aikman quickly over the middle, complete to Johnston. First down, Dallas at the 34. The linebacker, Rob Fredrickson, on the stop. Moose may not hit the secondary on the ground, Bay, but he quite often hits it as a result of an Aikman pass.
He does, and he did a real nice job here of dragging Rob Fredrickson along with him. That's just a little, Jay Novacek's running a little out route. Daryl Johnston sneaks back underneath. He got him the football. That's a pass you're going to see Herschel Walker in, maybe today, but certainly down the road, because Herschel will turn that play into a 15 to 20-yard gain, Mike, with his speed.
First down for Dallas at the Oakland 35. Aikman. Complete. Kevin Williams, first down, out of bounds at the 16. Larry Brown knocked him out.
That looks like a practice matchup from Austin last year, Mike. Kevin Williams comes up on Larry Brown on the left side just runs a little double move comeback route here. You see Troy Aikman with the 7-step drop. Kevin Williams got Larry Brown turned around. You see Larry Brown with a huge cushion on Kevin Williams. He must have thought he was covering Dion because Kevin is not that fast.
There's Prime Time nursing the sore hamstring. Appears to be struggling through it all right, though. 1st and 10 for the Cowboys at the 16 of Oakland. No score early on. Dominique Ross, a gain of 2. And Mike Morton, the middle linebacker, on the stop.
And we're going to see a lot of Dominique Ross tonight, Mike. And you have to remember, a guy like him, look at the running backs the Cowboys have. Obviously, Emmitt Smith, who we're not going to see tonight. I think he's going to make this football team. Herschel Walker, Darrell Johnston, Sherman Williams. Those 4 are locks. Cowboys only keep 4 running backs. So you say to yourself, well, why is this guy even bothering with this? Well, the Oakland Raiders may need a running back. He's got a good display tonight. You never know. This tape goes all around the NFL, and he's got a good chance to show something tonight.
Good point. 2nd down and 7. This time, no place to go for Ross. And there's a fumble possibly on the play. Raiders say they have the football. We'll wait for the pile.
Now
nope. 3rd down upcoming.
At that point, you get the tape. You make sure you get the tape, and you make sure you destroy it.
Take a closer look.
It's a little bit like the Watergate tapes. There's a missing little gap in there. There's Dominique Ross. It looked like his knee was on the ground before the ball came out.
Ground caused the fumble apparently there, so it's 3rd and 8.
Whether the ground caused it, though, or whether it came out before, coaches don't like to see that. You don't want to put the official in the position of having to determine that.
3rd and 8 for the Cowboys, approaching 11 minutes to go. First quarter, no score. First preseason game of the year. Aikman fires over the middle, complete. Kevin Williams, first down at the 6. Lorenzo Lynch on the stop, and Aikman is as accurate as ever in the very first preseason game.
Now that looks a little bit familiar to Cowboy fans. Kevin Williams just comes working the slot from the left side of your screen here. Troy Aikman with the quick drop, and Williams just gets inside. Gets up, does a nice job of getting the first down there too. That is, to me, that's Kevin Williams' specialty. Put him in the slot, let his quickness take over. He did a good job with it last year. I think he'll do an even better job this year.
Williams, the most experienced receiver the Cowboys have available to them right now. There's Moose on first down inside the 5 for a pickup of a couple of yards. Fredrickson got there first for Oakland. I think the Cowboys' first-team offense maybe wants to score here, thinking possibly that this would be the extent of their work tonight. Although who knows, if they score this quickly early on, the coaches may put them out there again to get one more series under their belts.
Well, I do think you always want to have success, and it doesn't matter if it's your first preseason game or the Super Bowl. I think anytime you hit the field, you want to have success and you want to feel good about the continuity of your offense. So they got a nice drive working right now.
2nd and goal, just inside the 5. Cowboys with Ross and Johnson in the backfield. Moose comes out of the backfield. Aikman has all day to throw. Pumps now to Ross. He does reach into the end zone. Or does he?
They're calling his knee out just inside the 1, but that looked awfully close.
Good effort for Dominique Ross. James Trapp came up and stopped him from scoring as Ross tried to reach in but couldn't quite get it done.
And that's a nice job by the offensive line there. Dominique Ross was Troy Aikman's 4th receiver. You see Eric Bjornsson slips down. He comes in looking for Kevin Williams, can't find him, comes to the outside. Let's see if he does get in. Yeah, his knee was down. Good call by the official. He was right on it.
But it is 3rd and less than 2 yards now for a Cowboy touchdown. 3rd and goal from the 2. Aikman again to Ross, and again apparently stopped short. No, it is a touchdown. Okay, all right. Dominique Ross gets it done this time, and the Cowboys have the first TD of the night.
Dominique Ross does a good job, Mike, because he slips coming out of his stance before he ever gets started. So he's on one knee in the backfield while all the action's going on. Here it is. Let's see. You can see him coming up. That was not a stance he was in. He was not in a 4-point Oklahoma fullback stance. He had slipped to the ground. And with this new turf, they had watered it right before the game. They had actually a hose down here trying to get some of the debris off, and so I think it's still a little slippery.
Bonio for the extra point try. And the Cowboys, with 9:08 remaining in the first quarter, have a 7-0 lead in the preseason opener against the Oakland Raiders. We're back with more from Texas Stadium in a moment. Stadium, Cowboys open the preseason with an efficient drive on their first offensive possession of the ball game. 7-0 Dallas with the lead. There you see it. 10 plays, 69 yards in 5 minutes, 51 seconds. Dominique Ross pushes it in for the TD. Bonial to kick off now to Orlando Truitt and Philip Bobo. Truitt at the 4. Struggles over the 20, stays on his feet, finally driven out of bounds. Kendrick Bullard at the 25. Raiders known for their speed, and as you go down their roster, their depth chart at wide receiver, there is plenty of it. Hostetler held out of this game tonight as his left shoulder was operated on in the offseason. Billy Joe Hobart, the quarterback. Napoleon Kaufman starting along with Joe Aska tonight. Dudley is the rookie tight end. You know about Rocket Ismail and Darrell Hobbs with plenty of speed as well. Offensive line, Jenkins, Wisniewski, Turk, Kevin Gogan, the former Cowboy, and Pat Harlow. Set the Cowboy defense in a moment. Raheem Ismail is in motion there, and the first carry of the ball game goes to Napoleon Kaufman. He doesn't get much out of it. Maybe a yard on the play, and Broderick Thomas on the Dallas tackle. Now the Cowboys defense brought to you by Miller Lite. Rudy Smith, the young free agent, gets a start tonight because of injuries. Hennings and Lett at tackles, and rookie Kavika Pittman. The linebackers are Thomas, Strickland, and Smith. In the defensive secondary tonight, Bryce Reeser, Marion, and I don't believe Darren Woodson actually ended up getting the start tonight. We'll keep an eye on that. Second down carry, Joe Aska again finding the ground tough to come by. Gets maybe a yard. It'll be 3rd and 7 coming up. Cowboys already substituting liberally in the defense. As you can see, Rudy Smith taking an early breather.
And Rudy Smith, he was so far down in this depth chart before the injuries. He was like Rudy in the movie. I mean, in terms of him making this football team.
3rd down, we'll call it 6. Hobart lofts it over the middle, and Kaufman somehow comes up with it, but a beautiful open field stop by Broderick Thomas at the 30-yard line. Darren Smith, made the stop.
Here's another look. Billy Joe Hobart comes back. He steps up now. I don't know. He was trying to come downfield to the middle of the field. It actually was deflected inside. It looked like by Broderick Thomas. Napoleon Kaufman just said, well, I guess I'll take it.
And Darren Smith finished the play. Metroplex resident Jeff Gossett will punt it for the Raiders. Stepfront Williams back at his own 25 to receive for Dallas. Fair catch at the 32. The Cowboys will set up shop there for their second possession. 6:53 remaining first quarter. Dallas 7, Raiders nothing as the preseason gets underway tonight at Texas Stadium. It was 4 for 5 for 35 yards on the opening successful drive. So say hello to Wade Wilson.
That's a good feeling for Wade Wilson to come into this ball game here as well, Mike, because you know you've got your first team offensive line to work with. You get into later on in this game, and you're not sure if guys know their assignments, and it's a way to get killed out there.
Wilson now in his 16th year out of East Texas State. Herschel Walker and Dominique Ross in the backfield as well. First down, Ross trying to get outside, does so, 35, 40, and out of bounds at the 42. Darren Carrington drove him out. First down, Dallas. Let's watch Herschel at work on the replay, babe.
Yeah, it's a nice, he comes out, and not a devastating block. You're not going to see Herschel be a devastating blocker, but he comes out and gets the hook on Rob Holmberg, and that's enough to let Dominique Ross get to the outside. If Herschel can just be adequate blocking, he's such a threat pass receiving that he's a real nice addition at fullback.
First down, Cowboys at the 43. Wilson, there's Herschel out of the backfield. Into Oakland territory at the 49 for a gain of 7. Folston made the stop.
And I really think that's going to add another dimension to this offense, as if it really needed one. But Herschel Walker just comes out and runs the flat here, but he is, I think, one of the most underrated pass receiving backs in the NFL. Here he is lined up on the strong side fullback, just comes out, quick little flare, picks up 8 yards. If you hand the ball off to Emmett and he picks up 8 yards, you say, great, what a successful play. Why not throw it to Herschel?
Herschel now in his 12th year out of Georgia, 4th on the all-time all-purpose NFL rushing list. He spins for 3 yards and a Cowboys first down on that carry. to the Oakland 46. Malcolm Scholl made the stop.
And Herschel is 34 years old, just like his uniform number, but he sure hasn't looked it through camp.
Switzer obviously delighted to have the versatility of Herschel Walker with his offense. Cowboys head coach now in his third year with a record of 28-9. There's Walker, the 1982 Heisman Trophy winner. First down for Wade Wilson and the Cowboys at the Oakland 46. 7-0 Dallas, 5:20 remaining, first quarter of the first preseason game. Walker again out of the backfield, makes the catch, close to a first down at the 37. Exactly what you were talking about earlier, babe. That threat from Walker out of the backfield is always there. Fulston and Holmberg combined for the tackle.
Well, and this is the same pass pattern we saw in the first series where Daryl Johnston picked up about 2 yards. Herschel Walker just comes back up underneath, but he beats the linebacker, and you see the separation there that you didn't see with Daryl Johnston.
Football now at the 36-yard line. Cowboys with a first down, leading 7-0. Aikman led the Cowboys on a 10-play, 69-yard drive to open the game. There's Dominique Ross running into resistance and losing perhaps 2 yards on that carry. Anthony Smith, the defensive end out of Arizona, made the stop.
And one thing you also didn't see, there was a big hole opened up for Dominique Ross. So before you start thinking, well, let's play Herschel every down, there is a bit of a downside to not having Daryl Johnston in the backfield. But I think on the upside, Mike, it gives Daryl Johnston an opportunity to take a blow. Herschel can come in and spot him for 20 plays, and I do think it'll prolong Daryl's career.
2nd and 10 for Dallas now at the Oakland 36. Wilson to throw the football and finding a wide open Stepfret Williams for the first down at the Raider 25-yard line. Williams working against James Trapp. First down, Cowboys.
That's a nice job by Stepfret Williams there. Here's an isolated shot of him working against Trapp. He just comes up. The key is keep your stem straight up the field, which he does. Comes out, does a nice job of turning. The first two patterns Stepfret Williams ran, he was stumbling coming out of his break. Right there, he got under control. And the tendency is to speed things up when you get into a ball game. I think he learned something there.
Williams listed generously at 6 feet tall and 170 pounds with a lot of speed. There's Herschel Walker, still with plenty of speed of his own, that time using power inside to rumble near the 20-yard line for a gain of 4. And again, it's Smith making the tackle for the Raiders.
This second group here, or kind of an assortment, you've got your starting offensive line doing a nice job. It doesn't look too much different than the first unit, did it?
And this drive, not at all, as the Cowboys' first unit, as we said, rolled on down the field. The second unit is doing the same against essentially the first-team defensive line, anyway, for the Raiders. Smith just left the game with an equipment problem, but 2nd down and 7. Ross didn't know where to go. He stopped behind the line of scrimmage. Veteran Jerry Ball got there first, along with linebacker Mike Morton. Jerry Ball now in his 10th year, the big guy out of SMU.
Well, he is large too. He is not very tall, but he's a load to move out of there.
Troy's work is done for the night.
I guess that tells us something there, huh? What do you think would happen if somebody said, "Hey, Troy, get him back on. We need you. We need you to cover a kid. We're a man short."
Knowing him, they'd come back on. And I don't know. Aikman was 4 for 5, as we said, on the first drive. Wade Wilson needs some time to talk with the coaches.
Come out.
2 minutes to go. 7-0 in the first. Cowboys with the lead. To go first quarter. Tuanay, Newton, Shiver, Allen, and Hegeman. The Cowboys' offensive line that's been having its own way here early on.
And congratulations go to Larry Allen and his wife. They just had a baby this past week, which always makes a guy happy when your wife delivers during training camp because you're excused for a couple of days. So they want to get Larry Allen a little extra work, actually, in tonight's ball game because of that.
To Janelle and Larry Allen III, if you're watching tonight, hope you enjoy the game. 3rd down. Wilson complete to Edward Hervey. Struggles and is finally driven out of bounds by Larry Brown at the 14-yard line. Enough for a Cowboys first down. Hervey, of course, had the long touchdown reception in the scrimmage Wednesday, babe.
Larry Brown getting a little workout out there as well. Kevin Williams got the ball in front of him earlier, and this time it's Ed Hervey. Hervey does a good job, too, of walling it off and then making sure he secures the ball.
First down Cowboys now, looking for a second touchdown in this ball game as they lead 7-0, less than 2 minutes remaining in the first quarter at the Oakland 15. Herschel Walker, maybe a yard. It'll be 2nd and 9. Upcoming for the Cowboys, James Folson, one of the black shirts that got there first for Oakland.
We talk about the versatility on that last throw. They had Herschel Walker in the slot, and Herschel can play fullback. He can play tailback if they want to put him back there. He can play in the slot. I think he's going to be a guy who they can also split out at times, not to play wide receiver, but just to create defensive mismatches. You've got to make a decision when he goes all the way to the outside. Do you cover him with a linebacker?
Barry Switzer told us this morning he'd like to see a lot of Herschel in this preseason in passing situations to see what he can do, and we may see it right here. Wade Wilson instead looking over the middle, intended for Bjornsson, but intercepted by the Raiders and Lorenzo Lynch. Wilson wanted his second-year tight end, but instead he found Lynch, the free agent pickup from the Cardinals. 51 seconds to go, first quarter. Cowboys with the early lead over the Raiders. Going for another TD pass, but it didn't work out.
Here's another look at it. Wade Wilson just dropping back. He's looking for Eric Bjornsson out of the left side of your screen. Lorenzo Lynch just does a nice job of running under Eric Bjornsson. The one thing about down in that side of the field, you can let the guy run forever because you don't have to defend depth. You've got the out-of-bounds line in the back.
Raiders start at their own 20 with Billy Joe Hobart throwing on first down and completing to the 30-yard line. Ricky Dunley, the rookie tight end, makes the grab, and Randall Godfrey, the rookie linebacker for Dallas, makes the tackle.
Billy Joe Hobart is a guy who's locked himself into a battle with David Klingler, the man that Cincinnati Bengals took with a first-round pick. And Hobart is a man that they say will be the backup here, but it'll be interesting to see what Klingler can do, and we're going to see him later on this evening.
Second and less than a yard now for the Raiders, trailing 7-0. 15 seconds and counting to go in the first quarter. Napoleon Kaufman has the first down as he scoots outside and out of bounds at the 35. Reggie Reeser made the tackle. Kaufman, now in his second year out of Washington, scored against the Cowboys in the preseason game last year, and has the potential to be a pretty exciting guy out of the backfield.
He sure does. Good kick returner as well for the Raiders last year, but he's a strong guy. He's not exceptionally large, but you saw he delivered a pop to Reggie Reeser there.
First quarter is history, the first quarter of the first preseason game. Cowboys 7, Raiders nothing. We'll be back at Texas Stadium in a moment. Dave Laufenberg and Max Morgan. I'm Mike Ducey. The Cowboys lead the Raiders 7-0 in the preseason opener for 1996.
Raiders went to strengthen their offensive line in the offseason. We see Pot Harlow. He's one of 3 former number ones that they acquired in the offseason. And Al Davis loves picking up those number ones that don't make it other places.
First down, Oakland with their own 34, I should say. Hobart firing. Oh, incomplete. Aska had it. Should have had it. Couldn't hang on at the Dallas 45. And Hobart's disgusted. Chris Hall on defense for the Cowboys.
Joe Ask is an interesting guy from Central Oklahoma. You see the shield he wears on his face mask. He only has vision in one eye. Had a childhood accident where they were splitting marbles with a hammer. A piece of the marble came up, and he's lost vision in his eye there, and hence the shield.
Says since it happened
hence
at such
the
a
drop as well, I guess.
Well, I don't know. He says since it happened at such a young age, it doesn't affect his pass receiving. So maybe it was just the hands on that particular play. Aska again to the 38. Darren Smith, the Cowboys linebacker, on the stop.
How unkind would it be, though, Mike, to be his coach and start screaming at him for dropping a ball? You know what I'm saying? I think you got to, well, Joe, we'll get the next one on that one.
Aska, second year now. Eric Ball's gone, so they think he can play a big role in the backfield out of Central Oklahoma.
He's a speedster, too, 240 pounds, but the 55-meter sprint champ, if you can believe that.
Wes Bender, second-year man of the USC, is in the backfield with Hobart right now on 3rd down and 6. And Hobart won't get this one away. Roderick Thomas with his first Cowboys sack, albeit in the preseason.
Well, and that's what Cowboy coaches and Jerry Jones were looking for when they signed Roderick Thomas. He's a guy that's going to be a linebacker in regular down and distance situations, but he'll put his hand down. You see him come from the top of your screen here. Cowboys run a little stunt up top. Roderick Thomas gets a sack. And that's important too, because remember, Tony Tolbert coming off knee surgery, Charles Haley's back. You don't know how long that's going to hold up. They may need a pass rusher.
Jeff Gossett to kick it away from his own 14-yard line. Wobbly, short kick, step front Williams at the 33. Fumbled. Oakland football. Joe Avisano with the reaction you'd expect. His rookie couldn't hang on to the football, and the Raiders will get it back at the Dallas 44.
Mike, it happens every year. Rookies who will come off the field and say, I never fumble. I never fumbled in college. It's a different game up here. It moves a lot faster. The first order of business is to secure the football. He's running up through traffic. You see it pop out of his left arm. I believe that's James Trapp there getting on the football.
Trapp recovers. Paul Butcher, a linebacker, forced the fumble, and there's Avisano with the rookie Stepfret Williams. And here's Billy Joe Hobart with another chance for the Raiders, trying to go deep on first down, but will it get there? No, it won't. Reggie Reeser was hooked up along the left sideline with the rocket, and complete, second down to come.
Billy Joe Hobart just laughing. He knows he'll take a little hit. There's Joe Avisano again. You think that was kind of a one-way conversation that they were having?
Relatively restrained response, though, from Joe.
Yeah, I think he knows it is July 27th, and you've got a rookie on your hands. And I think it's important, too, there's Stepfret Williams, take a look at him again, to not crush a guy's confidence in a situation like that. It's a fine line between pointing out a guy's mistakes and burying him.
Bender and Aska in the Oakland backfield. Joe Aska gets the carry this time, runs into a pile, and gets absolutely nowhere. Fred Strickland makes the stop for the Cowboys. Strickland, another new Cowboy linebacker, came over from Green Bay. Strickland now in his 9th year out of Purdue.
Kavika Pittman is the guy that really made the play, though. Look at him at right defensive end. You see him right in the corner of your picture, fights off 2 blocks, bottles everything up. Strickland comes in, makes a tackle. You know, you see 55 too. You want to say Robert Jones gets up, but we got to get used to Fred Strickland in 55.
That play will encourage the coaches when they see Pittman, who's had trouble with his balance early on in camp. 3rd down and 12. Hobart complete to Darryl Hobbs for an Oakland first down inside the Cowboy 30, down to about the 27-yard line. Chris Hall on the tackle for the Cowboys. Oakland on the move, trailing 7-0 early in the second.
Hobart just throws the post up here to the left side, and it looks like Reeser gets a little bit of a late jump on the ball. But when you come inside there, the safety has to punish the receiver. He's got to make him pay for coming in and catching that football. Chris Hall had basically a no-hitter there.
First down at the 29 for Oakland. Hobart finds Wes Bender. Roderick Thomas can't get him. Alundis Bryce can't get him, and finally he's dragged down from behind at the 10-yard line. Bender with a nice effort at another Raiders first down.
Now that is a situation where Dixon Edwards probably makes that play. He had the speed to get out there. How many times did you see Dixon Edwards take a man down in the open field? It doesn't happen here, and Alundis Bryce kind of pays the price for hooking up with Bender.
Raiders now at the 11-yard line of Dallas, trailing 7-0. Cowboys with the early lead. Hobart, hands off. Tim Hall just entered the ball game. Hall, 5th-round pick out of Robert Morris. There are flags on the play. Pittman may have been offside for Dallas. Let's hear Jerry Mark.
Offside, number 97, defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
That's what we talked about at the top of the show, Mike. You want to make plays, but by the same token, you can't do that. You can't jump off sides. All you have to do is look down the line at the football, and Kavika Pittman just a little bit over anxious there.
First down play now again for Oakland at the 5-yard line of Dallas. Hobart, Joe Aska. Thomas stands him up at the line of scrimmage and drives him back. They may give him a yard on the play, but Broderick Thomas on the defensive play for the Cowboys. Thomas taken 6th overall in the 1989 draft. Cowboys now have 3 of the top 6 picks in that draft with Aikman, Dion, and this man, Broderick Thomas.
Broderick Thomas does a good job. Just comes in, takes on the fullback, and stands up Joe Asker right there. That's a nice job. And I think one thing he does bring is a little more stoutness. Dixon Edwards a little swifter. Broderick Thomas probably a bigger, stronger, more physical player.
2nd and goal from the 4. Aska as they try to run it right. And again, not much room. Maybe half a yard. And Thomas again in on the action for the Dallas Cowboy defense.
Well, he has said he can be the player that he thinks some of the other linebackers around the league are. We'll take another look here. He has not been that player that they thought he would be when they took him number 6 in the draft. But you're exactly right. He is one of 3 Cowboys that in the top 6 of that draft. Troy Aikman, of course, the first pick in the draft. Deion Sanders, number 5. There's Broderick Thomas. We get a look at him, 8th-year man out of Nebraska.
Now 3rd and goal for the Raiders. Truitt and Hobbs, receivers to the right. Sean Foster to the left. And Hobart to fire. Touchdown, Raiders, Sean Foster. Hobart to Foster, a 4-yard TD pass, and the Raiders have a chance to tie this with 9:47 to go in the 2nd quarter.
You took a look at the replay here, and the Cowboys only had 10 men on the field. And that sometimes happens to you in preseason games because you're not used to the packages that come in and out on nickel and who's on them and who's not. So the Cowboys get caught a little short-handed, and it ends up costing them.
Veteran Jeff Jaeger with the extra point attempt now to try to tie it with 9:47 to go in the 1st quarter. It's Dallas 7, Oakland 7 as the preseason gets underway at Texas Stadium tonight. 7, Oakland 7. There's Sean Foster, a free agent out of Long Beach State, trying to make this football team. Has a touchdown to his credit here in the preseason.
Billy Joe Hobart has a touchdown as well, thanks to Sean Foster, and thanks to 10 men being on the field as well. Hobart just does a nice job keeping the football away from Fred Strickland. It's just a pass pattern where Foster probably has the option of going in or out. He sees a linebacker inside, he slides back out, and Hobart does a nice job delivering it down and away.
Jager's battling for his job at kicker this year. This is Cole Ford, 2nd-year man out of USC, kicking off this time for the Raiders. Ross and Hervey deep, and Hervey takes it at the 8. The speedster from USC fights his way out to the 25-yard line, where the Cowboys will set up in just a moment. 9:37 to go, 1st half. Cowboys 7, Raiders 7. Here in the 1st half, Cowboys bring their offense back on with their 2nd team, in some cases 3rd team offensive line. You see the Raiders drive there, 7 plays, 44 yards and 344. Hobart to Foster. McDaniel, Jones, Doggins the center, Batiste and Hageman the new Dallas offensive line. Wade Wilson is the Cowboy quarterback. There's a fumble on the snap. Oh! Dallas retains it. We talked about the new O-line, including a new center. And there's Switzer, perhaps with a word for Kevin Doggins.
And those are the kind of things you see. Kevin Doggins getting in. He's wanting to impress someone. He gets out a little early. You got to remember the first order of business for a center is to get the football into the quarterback's hands. And Wade Wilson being a 16-year veteran, you have to assume that he didn't make the mistake by pulling out. Don't you?
I will give him the benefit of the doubt on that one. Stepford Williams goes out wide left. Walker is in the slot left on 2nd down and 11. Wade looking for Herschel Walker, but underthrowing him at the 30-yard line, incomplete.
The Boos are out.
The Boo Birds, they want Jason, huh?
Yeah, and we will see Jason. I think they were complaining about Herschel Walker being held, but oh gosh.
There's obviously the only quarterback controversy that the Cowboys are going to have anytime soon is the one that would be over whether Wilson or Garrett should be the 2nd team quarterback. Jason Garrett out of Princeton, the 3rd teamer currently, helping get the plays in to Wade Wilson. Now 3rd down and 11. Wade with the deep drop, now under pressure, and he won't get away as the sack is made by Anthony Smith, the defensive end out of Arizona. Had 7 sacks in the regular season last year. He adds another in the preseason tonight.
Yeah, this is what happens when you don't get that first team offensive line. Here's Michael Batiste going up against Nolan Harrison. They run a stunt to the inside. Batiste has to come off. Batiste has to come off the man he's blocking to take that inside charge away, and that didn't happen.
Here's John Jett, 41.6 per punt last year. Jett now in his 4th year out of East Carolina. Orlando Truitt deep for the Raiders, takes it at the 34. Nice open field work by Kendrick Bullard, who makes the special teams play as flags fly.
And I think Bill Bates made a rookie mistake right there, Mike Ducey. I think he's going to get called for the late hit here.
It's a bit ironic. A young guy like Kendrick Bullard makes the play. And
let's see if Joe Avizano chews out Bill Bates on the sideline.
What do you think?
Unnecessary roughness, number 40, kicking team. Sterling, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Here we go again, Babe.
Yeah.
Bullard making the play.
And a nice one he does make from his outside position. There's Bill Bates. The one thing you can't do in that position is lead with the helmet.
Bill Bates, 14th year out of Tennessee now. 7 all, 8:26 to go in the second. What causes a veteran to do something like this?
Well, I think Bill Bates just hasn't hit anybody in about 6 months, and you don't get to hit guys in training camp on special teams, so there's a spear job on Orlando Truitt.
The late hit, and the Raiders with a first down at the 48. Hobart again lines him up with Wes Bender in his backfield. Truitt and Foster, the wide receivers, both out to the right. Billy Joe Hobart fires to his rookie tight end. Dudley had it, but then lost it. But it's ruled simply an incompletion at the 40-yard line. Ricky Dudley out of Ohio State, first-round draft choice, 9th overall in the draft, and they have very high hopes for that young man.
And they traded up to get him. He's a former power forward at Ohio State University. So actually, you take a look at him and Andrew Glover, the current tight end on the Raiders roster from last year, a 3-year starter at center at Grambling. So this is one heck of a football team, or basketball team, I should say, these guys are going to have in the offseason.
Get a barnstorming tour.
Yeah.
Going and get some business done. 7-7, 8:20 to go. Cowboys and Raiders tied. Oakland with the football at its own 48-yard line. This is Joe Aska. Joe goes nowhere. Kerry Mock, one of the linebackers, helping to make the play for the Cowboys.
Kerry Mock is a guy that's certainly a long shot on this team, but he's shown up in this game quite nicely so far. Here's where you want to see, there's Kerry Mock right there. Here's where you want to see a guy like Tavika Pittman come on though. 3rd down passing situation, 3rd and 9. You know the Raiders are going to throw the ball. Let's see what he can do.
Hobart, the play fake. Time to throw. Intercepted. Chris Hall. Flag is down. Hall made the interception, and now rambles into Oakland territory, driven out of bounds at the 37, but flags were thrown on the play.
That was an ill-advised pass by Billy Joe Hobart. He can only hope that it's against the Cowboys.
Hall made the interception. 2nd-year player, free agent from East Carolina.
He has been through the Cowboys camp in the past, played in the World League. He's a guy that has shown a lot of tenacity to try to stick in this league.
Number 30, defense. First down.
Buster Owens, another rookie free agent out of Georgia, whistled for the interference. Let's have a look.
And that hurts because I don't think it had a whole lot of bearing on the play. You see Hobart with the play action fake there. Yeah, the pass interference comes on the other side of the football. I'm not so sure that should have even been called, to be honest with you, Mike.
So another penalty hurts the Cowboys, allows Oakland to keep the football, and the Raiders keep moving at the 41-yard line of Dallas. Truitt in motion for Billy Joe Hobart. And more flags as there's movement before the snap.
I think Joe Wiley also in motion for Billy Joe Hobart, but he's on the offensive line, and you can't do that.
Had a fast-moving first quarter, well played for an early preseason game, but things have slowed down a bit with some penalties here in the second quarter, the type of thing you'd expect here, first game of the preseason.
Barry Switzer seems to be taking it all in stride. Mike White isn't. As I mentioned, they were tied for the league last year with 134 penalties, tied with Detroit for the most in the league. They actually set the NFL record in 1994 with, I think, 156. So one thing you can count on from the Raiders are penalties, and they're exhibiting it tonight.
At the 46 of Dallas, Raiders 1st and 15 now. Dudley, the tight end, on the move, and Holbert again to throw the football. Rushed out of the pocket, throws on the run, and Truitt dropped it at the 42. Darryl Hardy was there, but the catch should have been made.
I think Orlando Truitt still has pieces of Bill Bates' helmet in his back.
Restricting his movement just a bit.
Yeah. You know, we get back to the penalties, though, Mike, and I think one thing, if you're a team that gets penalized a lot, as the Raiders do, you have to be that much better than the opponent. You can't just give away yardage like that, and they ultimately tend to be inopportune penalties at costly times. And I think the Raiders have had to overcome not only the penalties, but their own decisiveness as well.
And the penalties used to be part of that Raider mystique.
Right.
When they were winning football games consistently. Aska, nice hole. Gets back about 7 yards for the Raiders, right up the middle, taken down at the 35. It's going to be a 3rd down play and about 4 to go. Chris Hall and Darryl Hardy combined to make the tackle for the Dallas Cowboys.
Interestingly enough, Mike, they had somewhat corrected some of those penalties early on in the season. When they started their 6-game losing streak at the end of the year, that's when the penalties came. I think there is a little correlation there.
Yeah, could be just a bit.
Along with losing your quarterback.
Number 22 will not see action tonight. 3rd down. Call it 5 for the Raiders. 7-7 ball game. Holbert underthrows Truitt at the 28, and still more flags fly as Pittman got in late, delivered a shot to Holbert.
You'll see Kavika Pittman here coming up at right defensive end. We'll listen to Jerry Mark right here.
Holding number 29, defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
Well, I thought Pittman was involved in the penalty. Instead, they call Alundis Bryce.
Now you look at Pittman on the left side of your screen. He's just going to loop inside. Nobody picks him up. This is what happened earlier to Batiste on the Cowboys' offensive side of the ball. Let's take another look. Pittman just gets a clean shot on Holbert. That's a way to lose a quarterback right there.
And it's Bryce called on the penalty that time. Cowboys really being hurt by penalties here in the 2nd quarter as the Raiders are able to keep things moving. There's Bryce. We'll try to regroup, and we'll be back with more from Texas Stadium in a moment. Opening the preseason. This reminder, ticket special underway. Tickets available for the September 8th game with the Giants, September 15th with the Colts. Call 214-373-8000. 214-373-8000. Raiders have a 1st down coming here after the timeout.
Mike, that's a look at Rich Stevens there, the offensive right tackle for the Raiders. He was once the dominator. For 2 years, he wrestled, professional wrestler. Then came back in. Why does it make sense that he is now a Raider?
6'7", 320.
The dominator.
The dominator indeed. Boy, he would have been a presence in the ring, huh?
I still want to suit up Kevin Gogan in WWF.
You could probably convince him. Get to him after the game. 1st down, Raiders. Joe Aska. Again, good pursuit by the Dallas defense. He stopped after a gain of about a yard. Jim Schwantz, Cowboys linebacker, the bottom of the pile, but he got there first to make the defensive play for Dallas.
And that's a nice job for Jim Schwantz there. And he's a guy fighting for a job, another one. Cowboy coaches basically know what he can do. He's been with them now 2 years. You get back to it, too. His first game was in a Bears uniform in 1992. It was also Mike Singletary's last game. He was inactive on the practice squad for 15 weeks. Finally came in. He said, I've got 2 patches from that game, and there's only 100 out there, so I think he's figuring out making money.
Schwantz out of Purdue, special teams standout as well. Holbert fires it low and incomplete, intended for Truitt. And there'll be a 3rd down and 8 play on the way. Alundis Bryce was in the vicinity, and Holbert would like to have that one back.
Yeah, he did a nice job there. Alundis Bryce is sticking to Truitt, although Truitt just kind of came up He knew he was locked in on man, and he just stood there, and that's not the way to get open. Everybody would say, well, Hobart short-armed it, but if he throws the ball up, Alundis Bryce probably gets it.
There's Mike White, 38 years a head coach, most of it in college, head coach at Cal and at Illinois. Second year for the Raiders, 8-8 last season.
The Raiders have talked about implementing the long ball in the offense again. They got away from it last year, and we haven't really seen it tonight.
They're down at 8. Hobart. Rudy Smith was after him. He did get it away. Rudy Smith, who we talked about earlier, got a start tonight, made a play there, and Hobart is still on the turf at the 40-yard line.
That's one thing you hate to see, too. When you start throwing in, you can play receivers. The worst thing that can happen is he runs the wrong route, you get an interception. You play offensive lineman, as I say, you can get your quarterback hurt, and there's Billy Joe Hobart limping off.
Pass was incomplete. Smith, 74, rookie free agent out of Rutgers, got some pressure on him.
That's Rudy Smith again. He's showing himself up a little bit here tonight. Hobart might have been best to just get rid of that football.
Let's see what he did on the
His
slow-mo.
left leg just comes up underneath, and Rudy Smith rolls up on it.
So Jager will have a chance to field goal.
Where's Vince Evans when you need
Boy,
him?
you look for him, don't you?
He may be here by halftime.
We'll see David Klingler up next, most likely. Kick is on the way as flags fly. 47-yard attempt was good, but it's not going to count. We do have the penalty flags on the play. We'll see if it counts or not. We'll see what the nature of the penalty is here as Mark Bright and company sort it out. Talking about Jager, who kicked it there, 10th year out of Washington. Had some knee problems last year. In a bit of a battle for his job with second-year man Chris Ford.
He missed the first 5 games, injured his knee in the final preseason game last year, and he came back to regain it, but they do have a battle. You're right about that.
An illegal motion foul on the offense. 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
Preseason for the officials as well as they take some time to sort things out. Mike White says, all right. First preseason game of the year.
And I did like Mike White's take on the kicking situation. He said, Jager, I know, has done it. He said, it's easy for another guy to come out and hit field goals in practice. He says, that's like going to the golf range. And I think we've all been there where, boy, our swing's very nice on the driving range, but you bring it out to the course and it's not the same swing.
Jager's going to try a long one here, babe.
Well, the one thing about Ford is he has the stronger leg, but here's an opportunity. It's a 52-yarder for Jager, so.
Gossett with the hold. Raiders try to take the lead. Jager, will it stay in? No, it will not.
Speaking of that driving range, hooked just to the left.
I am more than familiar with that. Actually, I'd push it to the right.
He's in the light rough over there.
5:33 remaining in the second quarter. It's a 7-7 football game. There's Mike White again. As we said, they started 8. Wilson, Walker, inside the 20-yard line. One of the reasons the Cowboys got Herschel Walker is for a play just like that. The Cowboys have a first down deep in Oakland territory. Rob Holmberg made the tackle.
Once again, that's a dimension that Herschel Walker adds to this football team. Here's another look. He's just up in a strong position. Wade Wilson does a good job of looking to safety into the middle of the field, and you're not going to win that foot race with Herschel Walker putting Rob Holmberg on a linebacker on Herschel Walker.
Herschel says he ran a 4.3 40 in the offseason. First down at the 19. Dominic Ross stumbles that time and just does make it back to the line of scrimmage. Mike Morton, the linebacker, in on the Oakland tackle along with Matt Dyson.
Dominic Ross has done a good job throughout this camp, but he looks a little bit tentative tonight. I think the key for him is to make his cut, put his foot in the ground, and get up the field. Right now, he's kind of dancing around in the backfield, waiting for blocking to develop while it's collapsing, actually.
There's Herschel, 12th year out of Georgia. Wade Wilson firing over the middle, incomplete, and a flag is thrown, and there's an interference call on the way. The pass intended for Stepfret Williams. Curtis Cotton, number 38, apparently committing the penalty.
Pass interference, number 38, defense. Automatic first down.
Cotton gets to the football the only way he can, and that is through Stepford Williams. There's Wade Wilson just firing it in. That's a good toss right there.
First and goal for the Cowboys.
Stepford Williams doesn't hang on, but for good reason.
It'll be first and goal for the Cowboys now at the 2-yard line. Wilson hands off to Ross, bounces outside, bounces in, touchdown Cowboy.
Much better job by Dominique Ross there, Mike, of just planting his foot down, putting his shoulder pads down, and getting himself through. You notice the last couple times he was dancing around. This time he comes up, he sees the hole, plants his foot, and goes.
Dominique Ross' second touchdown on a short run tonight. The Cowboys about to go up 14-7 as Bonio will attempt the extra point. Ross, again, in case you haven't heard about him in the preseason, he's been used a lot in the scrimmage and now in the preseason game with Emmett not playing. Free agent out of Valdosta State who made the Cowboys practice squad last year. Here's Bonio. And the extra point for Bonio is good. And there's another look at Dominique Ross, who, as Babe said earlier, most likely won't make this football team, but hopes to put on a good preseason performance to catch the eye of another team.
He was a practice squatter for the Cowboys last year, and there he is just lowering his shoulder. That's a good job, and that's a good strong safety there in Lorenzo Lynch. I mean, he's not running over a rookie who is not going to be around for the Raiders, so Dominique Ross has to feel pretty good about that. Although I did notice, Mike, he did not take the football back with him to the sideline. You know he wanted to, but you also know the veterans might give you a little heat if you're carrying a preseason ball back like Emmett does.
Preseason or not, for Dominique Ross, that could probably find a place in the trophy case somewhere, couldn't it?
Well, and you know, the thing about Dominique Ross is he's going to get 20 to 25 carries tonight because the Cowboys are so thin at the running back position, but he's going to make this football team on special teams like so many of these other young guys, and it's awfully tough to carry the ball, and now they're asking him to run 60-yard sprints to go cover a kickoff.
Yeah, the Cowboy injuries extended well into the depth chart. Jarvis Perry, who would have seen time behind Ross at running back, was injured in the scrimmage. A couple of reserve corners, Barry Dillard and Wendell Davis, were injured before the scrimmage even started. So the injury bug has definitely bitten the Cowboys in the preseason as Bonio kicks it off. Kenny Shedd on the return with some excitement as he reverses field, hit out of bounds.
More penalty
flags are flying as Kenny Shedd takes the ball to about the 38-yard line. Raiders in their own territory.
Kenny Shedd, another one of those fast Raiders, but Kendrick Bullard, a sprinter himself for the Cowboys. And this is the time that I might match the Cowboys receivers right now in camp, that is, with some of the Raiders receivers speed-wise. Bullard, a sprinter. Ed Hervey, obviously almost an Olympic hopeful. Or I guess he is an Olympic hopeful, but he's not an Olympian, huh? And then you got Deion Sanders when he's healthy. I like that as a track team.
Not many teams could compare, definitely, with the Raiders in terms of wide receiver speed. Brown held out tonight. James Jett with a minor hamstring, but still Ismail and Hobbs and Truitt and Foster and Kenny Shedd, second-year free agent out of
personal foul, face mask on number 4 of the kicking team. We have a holding foul on number 31 receiving team. Both fouls after possession. The penalties offset by rule belongs to the Raiders at the spot of their foul. First down.
Joe Avisano unhappy with the penalty, the face mask against Kendrick Bullard. Joe King was penalized for the Raiders as well. So turns out Oakland ends up with the football at its own 21.
I always like the officials, Mike, telling you that by rule, this is what happens.
I didn't want to do this, but
and by rule, let's do it this way. Like the other time we've been calling penalties, that haven't been by rule, we just want to call them.
The other ones are on a whim.
Yeah.
This one is by the rule book. At the 21, David Klingler is the new quarterback as Billy Joe Hobart went out with some sort of injury to his leg. Joe Aska takes it on the toss, and Aska is just taking a pounding tonight as he's stacked up at the 21. I see Rudy Smith, 74, again at the bottom of the pile. Rudy may become the story of this football game before it's all said and done, man.
Well, also the Raiders just recently released John Nielsen, who was the quarterback they had in camp. He was their 5th quarterback, and they may need him. Jeff Hostetler is not going to play tonight. Billy Joe Hobart looks like he could be done for the evening. And David Klingler, a guy who people expected great things from, certainly in Cincinnati. University of Houston product. We'll talk about him in a minute.
2nd and 10 for the Raiders. Klingler to Aska. The Raiders determined to try to run the football. This time Aska for 4 yards. Chris Hall out of the secondary to make the tackle for the Cowboys. It's a 14-7 ball game. The Raiders lead the Cowboys. Just under 3 minutes remaining before halftime.
One rule of thumb in the NFL, Mike, is don't get yourself injured. That's what happened to David Klingler. He gets hurt in Cincinnati. That left a guy by the name of Jeff Blake step in for what they thought was going to be a couple of games. Jeff Blake performed so well, starting with the game against the Dallas Cowboys, that David Klingler does not get his job back. He's shipped off trying to make it as a number 3 here in Oakland.
Threw it out to the right. Foster and Hobbs to the left. The Raiders, Klingler on the run. Throwing on the run. Throwing it a long way on the run. It's tipped. Incomplete. And again, a flag is thrown. Matthew Gay got back there to make the play for the Cowboys, but there are penalty flags. Matthew Gay just signed, another World League guy the Cowboys have picked up, 2nd year out of Kansas. Klingler on the move to his right. Quite a bit on that football. Gay came up to break it up.
If Klingler was able to get it downfield, they've got themselves a touchdown, but that's a long throw.
We have an unsportsmanlike conduct foul on the Dallas bench. One of our game officials ran into a coach that was on the white area of the field. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Wow.
Well,
the first time I've ever heard of that.
You've got so many defensive players hurt right now that the coaches are trying to earn their buck and help out. I want to see who the guilty party was.
Let's see if he wrapped up, whoever it was. So a penalty called on the Cowboys bench. Does Matthew Gay go over and scold the Cowboys coaches now? I kind of doubt it, but
you got so many players on the sideline now that it can be a little bit of confusion over there.
1st and 10, Oakland. Joe Aska gains 5, now 8 yards as he stays on his feet, driven out of bounds at the 48 by linebacker Kerry Mock of the Cowboys. Mock, free agent out of North Carolina, a Tampa Bay practice player last year. And there's Joe Aska out of Central Oklahoma.
And don't think that Joe, what's a linebacker doing getting run over by a running back, because Joe Aska's 240 pounds.
2-minute warning, Cowboys lead 14-7. In 7, I'm Mike Ducey with Babe Laufenberg and Max Morgan at Texas Stadium. At halftime, Cowboys owner Jerry Jones will join us to talk about what has happened tonight and some other issues on the table right now. Also a special look at Herschel Walker and his first Dallas Cowboys training camp in Austin anyway. 2nd down and a yard to go. David Klingler out of the University of Houston, as Babe said, and the Cincinnati Bengals had expected so much of it. Now he'll try to make a new start in Oakland. Joe Aska has a first down into Dallas territory. Picks up 7 to the 42-yard line. Chris Hall again up from the secondary to make the tackle for the Cowboys as the clock runs with 1:45 remaining.
Raiders are going into their 2-minute offense, but I'm not sure exactly why. There's plenty of time left.
Aska again finding some room now to the 33. Close to another first down. Hall again was in on the play for the Cowboys defense. And John Rushing. Yes, you're hearing a lot of names that you're not familiar with. The Cowboys secondary consists of Rushing, Reeser, Hall, and Owens right now. Not household names in North Texas. Klingler fires it out of bounds, incomplete, intended for Orlando Pruitt. Buster Owens was on the cover.
There's a look at Klingler, and you think about it. David Klingler is the number 6 pick in the draft in 1992 by Cincinnati. He's a record setter there. Then he's followed by Andre Ware, another record setter who's a first round pick who just recently was waived from the Canadian League. So a little bit like the Nebraska running backs, the Houston quarterbacks have flopped once they've got to the NFL.
3rd down and a yard to go now for the Raiders. And a first down carry for Tim Hall. Tim Hall gets the first. And the Raiders are going to stop the clock with 1:06 to go here in the first half.
Speaking of Nebraska running backs, of course, Lawrence Phillips still going through a little bit of trouble with the St. Louis Rams there in his personal life. But Tom Osborne has refused to allow NFL scouts and personnel people onto the campus because of the Christian Peter incident, where New England drafted him, fifth-round pick, and then released Christian Peter, who was a defensive tackle at Nebraska. But I think I'd clean up my act a little bit at the university. I don't know that it was the NFL that has caused Christian Peter's problem as much as Christian Peter. Tom Osborne, after about 30 years of pretty much remaining untarnished at Nebraska, now facing the scrutiny, I guess, that is faced by major colleges in other cities. And he doesn't like it.
Some would call it just a symptom of the 90s in college football, but Osborne had managed to stay away from it, as you said, for most of his career. First down play now for Oakland at the 28-yard line of the Cowboys. Klingler, time to throw, and he does so. Incomplete. Incomplete, intended for Foster. Matthew Gay hit Foster after the ball sailed incomplete, and then a flag is thrown.
I think they're going to call a late hit here, but I think this is a bad call.
Illegal contact foul, number 56, defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Instead, it's rookie linebacker Randall Godfrey penalized, Babe.
Well, that one may be okay then. Let's take another look at it here. Now, Klingler's got to make this completion, though. Not only does he not make the completion, he hangs his man out. We don't see Randall Godfrey in the screen there, but it's a nice job there by Matt Gay, because he run. That's what you got to do, though. When a quarterback makes a mistake like that, you've got to ring up the receiver, and that's what Matt Gay did.
1 minute, 1 second to go in the half. Now it's advanced to the 23-yard line. Oakland and Dallas territory, and first down. Joe Aska waiting for his blocks, now finding some room, and a gain of about 4 inside the 20 to the 19-yard line. Clock runs at 50 seconds remaining. Darren Benson made the tackle for Dallas.
The Raiders have 2 timeouts left there, but they're going through a little bit of confusion, as you might expect running a 2-minute drill in your first preseason game.
We'll talk with Barry Switzer when the halftime comes, see what he thought about the first half. Klingler fires incomplete, intended for Foster, who caught the first touchdown pass. Threw it over his head at about the 7. John Rushing back there on the coverage for the Cowboys.
Those are 2 balls back-to-back that have gotten away from Klingler there. He looks like he's, as all quarterbacks do, you look at your hand like, it wasn't me. I think something happened. I got something on my hand, something on the ball.
Every sport has that type of play. It goes under your glove in baseball or softball. You look at the glove.
Here's another look at it. Kavika Pickman does a nice job of coming around the corner. Getting a hand on Klingler's right arm there.
Pittman with the pressure. Third down now and 6 for the Raiders. 30 seconds to go in the half. Klingler finds Orlando Truitt complete. It's a first down at the Dallas 11-yard line. Again, Rushing there for the Cowboys defense. Clock stops at 22 seconds to go before halftime. Again at the half, Barry Switzer live. We'll talk with Jerry Jones. Also,
the cheerleaders never show up overweight. No, they never come in heavy.
Just like the players who stay in shape. Off-season conditioning, diet. First down Raiders, excuse me. You got me flustered now at the Cowboy 10. Klingler floats it to Truitt. Can he get into the end zone? Yes, he can. Klingler to Orlando Truitt, and the Raiders with a chance to tie the ball game with 16 seconds to go before halftime.
I'll lay off those cheerleaders so you can keep focused, but Orlando Truitt, the former Washington Redskin wide receiver, he comes up, slaps Klingler in the helmet. Klingler says, come on, I'm getting beat up enough back here without you hitting me too.
Cole Ford on to try the extra point and to try to tie this game at 14 right before halftime. Gossett holds, and Ford does get it tied. Dallas 14, Oakland 14. 16 seconds to go before the half. Here we go with that touchdown pass from Klingler to Truitt.
Little ground's eye view there of Klingler. Once again, Raiders offensive line doing a nice job there. It almost looks like it gets tipped there. Truitt picks it up off his shoelaces, does a nice job of just turning it in, getting his shoulders in.
Hand on the ball, but
Kerry Mock just overran the play from his inside linebacker position.
Cowboys forced to scoop it up. At the 35, Harold Morrow on the return to the 37-yard line with 11 seconds remaining in the first half.
Does anyone realize the Kansas City Chiefs had the best record in professional football last year? 13-3.
Good football team, and we'll probably have some time to look ahead to that one in the second half. It's halftime now here. Cowboys 14, Raiders 14. There's Barry Switzer. Shed. Line drive. Shed fell down. Now scoops it up at the 3. Has some big time ground to make up. Does get out to the 15. Takes a big shot. Eric Karen, and here's Kenny Shed, second-year guy out of northern Iowa. Just about committed a fatal mistake, managed to hang on to the football, but starts his team off in a hole.
You mentioned Eric Herron there and Alan Campos both in on the tackle, and those are two guys that are going to have to show up on special teams. We talked about that previously. Alan Campos, Jim Schwantz, probably locked into a battle for that remaining linebacker spot over there, and they have to do it on special teams.
David Klingler remains the Oakland quarterback. Billy Joe Hobart, who started in place of Hostetler, who was simply held out of his preseason game. Hobart was shaken up. Maybe try to get an update on what exactly happened to him in the second half. Begin the second half with Tim Hall running right and running nowhere. Loses a yard. The stop made by Darryl Hardy. Let's take another look.
Darryl Hardy doing a real good job here, fighting off a blocker. You see Darryl Hardy come out of the left side of your screen here. Comes up, fills the hole, stops him cold. That's a nice job.
Cowboys going with Rudy Smith, Kavika Pittman at the ends. Darren Benson and Mike Harrison at the tackles. Hobart sprained his ankle. We get the report that that's the injury to the quarterback who started this game tonight for the Oakland Raiders. That's Tim Hall for a gain of 3.
Cowboys stiffening up a little bit on their run defense there. Whether it's preseason, regular season, you always want to see your run defense be strong. And remember last year, the Raiders came in this very first preseason game, ran the football up and down the field on the Cowboys. Of course, you're looking at some guys, as we mentioned previously, who may not be around. Good chance that they won't be around come opening game in Chicago.
Klingler has a 3rd and 6 coming up. Looking deep, lofting to the right side. Flag thrown. A.C. Caswell makes the grab in spite of the interference. And you get a good look at Alundis Bryce, who's upset with himself.
Well, that's happened to Alundis Bryce all throughout training camp, Mike. He's in. Sometimes he's in position. Sometimes he's getting beat. When he's not getting beat, though, he never turns for the football on the deep ball. He's running stride for stride, never looks for the football, ends up getting the pass interference call and allowing the reception as well.
Pass interference on the defense. Penalties decline. Completed pass. First down.
Here's Bryce. Now he's running stride for stride. Turn for the football. You've got to turn for the football. He's never done it. He's shown an inability to do it throughout camp. And I think that's something Larry Brown never really got the hang of as a Cowboy. Fortunately, though, the Cowboys mostly played zone defense. And you can keep in front of the guy, but Alundis Bryce has shown the ability to cover at times, but at some point he's going to have to learn to turn for the football and knock it down.
Caswell made a remarkable catch as well. 37 now, Oakland with the ball. 14-14 game, early third quarter. Klingler hands off to Tim Hall. Falls ahead for 2 or 3 yards.
Turn for it and knock it down next time.
Davidson and Hall in the backfield for Klingler. Tim Hall again. Cowboys Vice President Stephen Jones has joined us now here in the booth. First down play now for Oakland. Klingler, Hall, about a yard for Tim Hall on the play.
And he's on the field. How do you find a guy like that? And take us through just the mechanics of you signing a player like that.
Well, first of all, our scouts have a list of guys that when we get thin at a position, in this case safety, after we had the injuries at the scrimmage, there on Wednesday at Burger Field, and what to do here tonight.
3rd down and 5 now for Oakland. The Dallas 22. Klingler pumps, now looks to the right side of the end zone, incomplete, intended for Caswell, and Reggie Reeser on the coverage for the Cowboys.
How about the Michael Irvin situation now? He has serving a 5-game suspension. He goes on to suspend.
And we'll have that roster spot until he comes back from his suspension.
Cole Ford will attempt a 39-yard field goal, try to give the Raiders the lead. Ford has it. Up and good. 10:44 remaining in the 3rd quarter. The Raiders have taken the lead 17-14. Back with more of the ball game and more with Stephen Jones as well when we come back. A shy young Aikman wannabe, a redhead. No
yeah, he should have a Jason. He should have 17 on, shouldn't he? He doesn't know any better.
Raiders have just taken the lead on a Cole Ford field goal. And they kick it deep again to Ed Hervey at the 10. Hervey down at the 20 and flags are down.
Is quite possibly having to spend the majority of his time on defense. Basically, you've got Kevin Williams and then Stepford Williams, a rookie, coming in and expected to share the load or to share the burden of Michael Irvin's 111 receptions last year.
Be in a situation like that. We think Deion's progressed further than last year, obviously, with all the reps.
There'll be a 3rd down and 11 play coming up. We'll take a look at Garrett, who threw a couple of successful long balls in the scrimmage against Houston on a 3rd down and long here. Complete. 1st down for the Cowboys and Oronde Gadsden.
And that was not.
In fact, during training camp, the folks at St. Ed's made Oronde get rid of his monkey Malik out of the dorm room. No animals allowed in the dorm room. There's a fumble on the snap. Raiders may have the football. Cowboys keep it. Oronde was forced to get rid of his pet, but has come through with a nice performance in the scrimmage. Nice grab there for a long gain as well. 2nd and 10 now for Garrett and the Cowboys. Play fake, Garrett rolling out right, throwing on the run, and completing to Billy Davis for a Cowboys 1st down at the 44.
Stephen, what are some of your thoughts? I know that it's been.
As you do get a few guys hurt, is totally pulled back. I think it's an important part of making that team is going through some physical tough times there in 2 days and being able to call on yourself and get yourself in shape. But at the same time, you don't want to do things that are just foolish. And so we're watching that very carefully. If a guy isn't going to make the team.
This moment, and in a few minutes, hopefully we'll have a further diagnosis on his ankle injury. Right now, let's go back to you.
Before the scrimmage even started, but a minimum of injuries so far from the Cowboys standpoint tonight has to please you.
Oh, that's really your number one goal. I heard Barry before the game say that the first goal in this game is just to keep everybody as healthy as possible. But even after the scrimmage, I think we've ended up turning out pretty good. All the injuries that occurred in that scrimmage, it looks like are going to be things that people can get back from in anywhere from.
Tika Brown, the 350-pounder, manning the left tackle spot right now. Garrett on the screen. Herschel Walker into Oakland territory to the 46-yard line.
Let me just say, too, that's a nice sight to see if you're Jason Garrett and you're working with a lot of guys who probably won't be around down the line, and they call a screen and you look up and you say, okay, who's my fullback? And you got Herschel Walker over there.
6:40 remaining, 3rd quarter. The Raiders lead it 17-14 as Oakland and Dallas get the preseason underway. John Jett to punt the ball for the Cowboys. Kenny Shedd is deep for Oakland. Short kick. Shedd takes it at the 20. He'll go nowhere. Kendrick Bullard and Bill Bates among those in on the tackle. For the
deserves a lot of credit. With the cap and where we've had to head, we've had to really depend on young guys to make up our special teams in the past couple of years. So it really puts a big onus on Joe to get these young guys ready to play, because we're not able to keep the Matt Vanderbeeks and the Brownlows of the past, and so it's a big onus on him.
I always feel as well that
he's always taking diligent notes, and when he hears one, well, he's not going to make it, you could tell that he was hoping he would, because he's a good special teams player.
Wes Bender on the carry on second down. There's a flag on the play. You talk about position coaches. Given the fact that the Cowboys have been so injured early on, given the fact that you do have a little bit of money under the cap, if I understand correctly, because of the Irvin suspension and because of another player's.
Illegal hands to the face, number 64, defense, 5-yard penalty.
Another guy like Kennard, a veteran offensive lineman, even though Batiste and Shiver are coming along well. And so you really have to weigh everything in the big picture to see what we're going to need the most to make us the most successful this year.
First down for the Raiders. Wes Bender takes the short pass from Klingler. Chris Hall in on the tackle for the Cowboys.
Maryland's character, but other teams seem willing to overpay for Cowboy players. Ron Stone in New York, another great example.
Sure. Well, that's one of the tough things about this business, is to have to lose a guy like Russell Maryland. He's the ultimate team player, the type of guy you want to keep on your team, and yet as we
ball at the Raider 45. David Klingler. Wes Bender fumble. Loose football, and we'll wait for the indication. It's like Oakland will keep it near mid.
He is. When you get and you're counting your 5th, 6th, 7th linebackers, all those guys are really competing against each other. But as far as Alan Campos goes, our coaches absolutely love him. He's a little light for a linebacker, but he is a playmaker. Every time they look up in practice, he's around the ball, stripping.
A little bit of Bill Bates, a little bit of Mark Stepnoski. He makes a pretty good football player, huh? Third down, 6 for the Raiders. Incomplete. Klingler looking for Caswell, who should have caught the ball at the 40-yard line. Instead, Oakland will have to give it up. 3:11 to go, third quarter. The Raiders lead 17-14 over the Cowboys. If you missed the early action, the Dallas first-team offense was very efficient. Aikman was 4 of 5 through the air as the Cowboys put on a 69-yard, 10-play drive to open the game and take a 7-0 lead. Dominique Ross has scored on short touchdown runs for both of the Cowboys TDs, as Emmitt Smith was held out of the game tonight.
See if Stepford Williams doesn't cover up this ball with 2 hands this time, Mike.
Gossett and Williams does make the grab safely at the 20. Cowboys 10 from the 20. 3 minutes to go, and the Raiders, 3 minutes to go in the third, the Raiders lead by 3. Garrett swings it out. Eric Bjornson's first reception of the night, and the tight end takes it for first down yardage out of bounds at the 32. Boys, there's a good look at Jason Garrett out of Princeton. His own 32. Stumbles, still has it though, rolling, looking to throw, instead scooting out of bounds wisely at the 33.
And that's something a couple years ago I don't think Jason Garrett would have done. He left
to the right. Harold Morrow on the carry. Back to the original line of scrimmage, Mike Morton on the tackle. Second.
Mexico is a great market for us. We have a big following down there, and would expect to have the same thing there in Monterey. We're really looking forward to it.
Here's the 3rd and 9 play. Garrett firing for Stepford Williams. Appeared to trip or be tripped up, but couldn't make the catch anyway at midfield.
Well, basically what the league's trying to accomplish is to have fan interest globally around the world. And when they do that, what they're doing is playing a few exhibition games in some countries that are very excited about the game and are getting their first shot at looking at it. And they go and they do go after the top teams as of late. I think Pittsburgh and San Diego, the last 2 AFC Super Bowl representatives, are playing over in Tokyo. Doing that, then you're into a days, and you're probably going to have to do more contact if you don't have these scrimmages. This allows for a controlled atmosphere. I think the players give a little more effort when they're in a setting like this. And as far as we're concerned, if they're playing hard and working hard, then they're less likely to get hurt.
That's David Klingler to A.C. Caswell. a first down with flags down at the Dallas 37-yard line. Reggie Reeser, one of those reserve secondary men that we've talked about on the coverage there, and it'll be a face mask, we think. Reeser, rookie free agent out of Washington.
Personal foul, face mask, 15-yard penalty from the spot of the catch, first down.
Klingler in for the injured Billy Joe Hobart. And some other flags of his movement along the line. Again, the Cowboys go to Monterey a week from Monday night. Then the following Monday, the 12th.
Start, number 87, offense.
It has to excite you and a lot of Cowboy fans who think about a trip going over there to that beautiful area.
And that's always nice and a change of scenery. The Oilers, because of their situation, we couldn't play down in Houston. And so we're going to play there in Orlando instead, and it ought to be a nice deal for the players to go down and see Mickey Mouse.
That's David Klingler to Philip Bobo, and that's a Raider touchdown. Klingler, as we've said earlier, trying to jumpstart his career now that he's with the Raiders. Fires it, and Philip Bobo makes the catch.
Once that protection breaks down, it becomes a 5-6 second cover period, which ordinarily defensive backs are not going to be able to keep up with the receiver for that period of time.
Jago will try the extra point. Gossett holds, and it's good. And Oakland leads with 41 seconds to go in the third. 24-14.
See the speed of the game and hopefully be able to correct a lot of the mistakes they're making.
Raiders lead by 10. Brett Williams from his 4, 15, 20, 25. Down at the 29, and you heard it here in the booth from Steven. It's a face mask.
Face mask.
I thought that was you. I don't know if it was you or Bay. On special teams, 44-yard line. Cowboys, 30 seconds to go in the third. Jason Garrett to Harold Morrow, who cuts back. 45, 50, into Oakland territory, now to 40. We'll see exactly where he stepped out of bounds. Looked to be about the 40-yard line, but enough.
I think one year we had to release Tommy in the middle of the season, and we ended up bringing him back for the last
final part of the quarter. Garrett went for Gadsden, but it's incomplete as the third quarter comes to an end.
Let's take a look here, Mike. They may be giving him a catch here. The beanbag came out, not a flag.
Okay, all right.
Fumble forward out of bounds.
Jerry Markbride says, what the heck's going on?
No flag on the play.
Fumble forward out of bounds, return to the spot of the fumble. It's first down, that's the end of the quarter.
First and goal for the Cowboys from the 9. Garrett looking for Gadsden again.
They keep
There is a flag down this time. Which shouldn't surprise us tonight. A lot of penalty flags here in the second half. The officials get together to talk about it. Garrett, who had just connected with Gadsden for the long.
No touchdown on the play. We have pass interference, number 46, in the end zone. First down on the 1-yard line.
You heard it.
First and goal from the 1-yard line for the Cowboys.
Carl Kidd is penalized. Number 46. The Raiders, and there's Oronde Gadsden. The Cowboys will have 4 tries at it from the 1. Garrett has rookie Ryan Wood at fullback and Harold Morrow at tailback right now. Morrow up and over the pile, and a touchdown. Harold Morrow, the rookie free agent from Auburn, with the TD, and the Cowboys with a chance to pull within 3 with 14:52 to go in the fourth. Stephen, we talked earlier when Dominique Ross was scoring a couple of touchdowns about the fact that obviously it's not extremely realistic for him to make this football team, but it's important for these guys to play.
Played here tonight is going to be looked at very closely, and a guy like Dominique Ross, if he doesn't make our team, would have a great shot to catch on somewhere else where maybe the team doesn't have the running backs that we have.
Boniol adds the extra point. It's Raiders 24, Cowboys 21. Harold Morrow pulls the Cowboys to within 3. Stadium now, as you can see, the Raiders still with the lead over the Cowboys, 24-21. Raining through the hole in the roof anyway, where the head coach and his assistants are standing though. Staying nice and dry. .52 to go in the ball game. Raiders lead by 3. Kenyon Branscombe with the return, and Aronde Gadsden, who's been in on a lot of the action on offense recently, makes the nice special teams play there at the 22-yard line. 14:42 to go. Let's go to the sideline. In just a few minutes, we'll see what Max Morgan's up to. The Raiders take over 1st and 10 at their own 23-yard line, and David Klingler forced to play a little more than the coaches had probably planned on him playing, as Billy Joe Hobart left the game early with that injury. We may see a third Raider quarterback here before it's all said and done, Alfred Montez. On the other side, Jason Garrett has been leading the Cowboys offense. Klingler lobbing it near sideline and overthrew Kenny Shedd at midfield. You're going to see how that new turf handles the water early on, Stephen, I guess. Huh?
Well, it's probably good for it. They had mentioned when we put it down that when they transport it, they have a waxy type residue on it. And with some rain and some water, we were watering it down before the game, and it'll wash some of that out, and I think it'll help it as we move forward here.
Players have to be excited about the fact this is a softer track, but Jerry indicated in the pregame that still doesn't mean that he doesn't have plans someday to try to put natural grass on this field. Wes Bender on the carry. No gain. And now Max Morgan on our sideline tonight. Max.
Mike, you know, the rain did start, so I decided to move up here in the front row and try and get out of the way of some of that rain where the hole in the roof where it was letting it through. But I also ran into Cindy Walker, who is Herschel Walker's better half. How's hubby doing tonight?
I think he's doing great, don't you?
I sure do. Second time through for Herschel as a Cowboy. What do you think of that?
I think it's strange, but it feels wonderful. It's like deja vu.
Would you like for him to finish up his career here at Dallas?
Absolutely. I'm not ready to go anywhere else. I'm tired and I'm getting too old for this, so it'll be just fine with me if he retires here and he can get a Super Bowl ring.
All right, and that's what he really wants, isn't it?
That's it. That's it.
And I think after all those years, he deserves one.
After 13, 14 years, yeah, I think he does.
All right, I know you're pulling for him. Thanks for taking time to talk to us. And must be a nice guy. We know he's a great football player. He has to be a nice guy. You've been married to him for 13 years.
That's right. He's wonderful. He really is.
All right, I'll let you enjoy the rest of the game. Cindy Walker, Herschel Walker's wife. Let's go back up to you guys.
Herschel, of course. Thanks, Max. Herschel has made his home in Dallas for many years and delighted to be back playing for the Cowboys. Stephen, I know you talked about it earlier with Herschel, but it's amazing. A guy who's been in the league as long as he has still comes into camp as well conditioned as anybody. His off-season conditioning regimen is legendary, and I think he's really gotten a kick.
Start, number 96, offense, 5-yard penalty, 4th down, prior to the snap.
I think he's really gotten a kick out of dealing with the fans in Austin. It kind of caught him off guard, I think. He'd heard about it, and I'm sure he'd seen news accounts of it, but until you've dealt with those crowds, you don't really know what to expect. But he's been a popular guy in Austin.
Well, he's such a great character in person, and he's great with the fans. He's a great asset to this football team, and for us to be able to come up with a guy like him to add to this football team was just a stroke of luck for us, and we're just very fortunate to have him.
Raiders forced to punt the football away. Gossett will kick to step front Williams and will drive him back. Catches a wet football at the 24 and slips at the 30. We talked about the fact that this new turf is seeing rain for the first time, although it had been watered down before the game, but the traction will be much improved as the season goes along with the new turf that's been installed here at Texas Stadium. 12:53 to go in the fourth quarter. Raiders lead the Cowboys 24-21. I'm Mike Ducey along with Babe Laufenberg, Max Morgan on our sideline, and Cowboys Vice President Stephen Jones has joined us here in the second half in the booth. Jason Garrett sends Aronde Gadsden, Kendrick Bullard out to the right. Harold Morrow on the first down carry. And Morrow picks up maybe a yard defensively. The play made by Lance Johnstone, number 51. Cowboys have gotten 2 TDs from Dominique Ross tonight, and Morrow, another reserve back, added a 2-yard run. First team offense was effective, and now Jason Garrett's crew has added another one as the Cowboys trail by 3. Here's Garrett swinging it out, finding Jermaine Williams out of the backfield. Williams over the 35 to the 37-yard line. Williams, and again, one of the backs used in training camp, free agent out of LSU, released by the Cowboys after camp in 1995. So it'll bring up a 3rd down and 5 for Dallas.
And I am back in operational.
You're working.
The microphone went down, and this is the point of the game, Mike, when you need an extra mic in there. You can't afford to be losing a guy out of the booth.
We take 4 or 5 more in here right now, actually.
Don't you go anywhere, Steven.
I'm not going anywhere.
There's the 3rd down play. Jason steps up with a hand around his leg, gets it away, incomplete to Bjornsson. Good effort by Jason. Right? Eric could have caught that ball but couldn't hang on. It would have been a first down, but instead Dallas will punt away with 11:46 remaining and Oakland leading 24-21.
And this is where it does get tough, Mike, for a quarterback, because offensive line, I mean, this Cowboy offensive line took 2-3 years before they solidified in the 1992 season. And you got a bunch of guys out there that have basically been in training camp for 10 days trying to get line calls down and passing off defensive rushers, and it's a very difficult thing to be cohesive at this time of the year.
Jets going to punt it away to Kenyon Branscombe. Kenny Shedd with the block. The football is loose. Kenny Shedd, who we talked about it, had a rough night on special teams for the Raiders, makes some amends there by doing something that's just unheard of, getting in and getting a John Jett punt.
Well, we talked about how difficult it is to make the offensive line cohesive, just as difficult, if not more so, to coordinate the punt team. And you see Joe Abasano not real happy there, but all it takes is one guy to miss an assignment on a play like that, and you get yourself a block punt.
11:38 remaining. Raiders lead 24-21. Are out at Texas Stadium, and the Raiders lead it 24-21 over the Cowboys. Block punt by Oakland's Kenny Shedd has resulted in great position for the Raiders at the 23, and the new quarterback is rookie free agent Alfred Montez out of western New Mexico. Hands off to Wes Bender, runs into immediate resistance. Our man Rudy Smith among those in there early on the play. After gain of about a yard, you see linebacker Eric Herron, number 58, as well. Here's the new QB, Alfred Montez. 6'2", 230, western New Mexico. Billy Joe Hobart started, left early with an ankle problem. Klingler saw plenty of action, and now Montez apparently will finish it up for the Raiders, who lead 24-21. Bender, the only setback. 3 receivers in the set for Montez. The rookie is ready for his first preseason action and uses too much time. Darren
Benson, 91 white, 91 white. Stephen, let's talk a little bit about Darren Benson, the big defensive tackle. Not yet 22. I guess he'll be turned 22 in a month. There he is. He's a guy you had to kind of convince to come back onto the football field, miss the mini camps, kind of come in overweight and out of shape. What's your thoughts on something like that when you've invested both time and money into a player like that, and then he kind of doesn't show the willingness? As I say, a very young kid drafted out of Trinity College, but what's your thought on that?
Well, our thoughts are basically is you got to have some patience sometimes with a guy like him. He is, like you said, just 21 years old. He comes from junior college. He's never played in a big-time program and never had the routines that some of our guys that we usually get in have. And so he's really just learning how to play the game and what it takes to be a great player. And it helps with the patience when you look at him. I mean, he's got great size. He does some things at times that really flash at you, and he can do things that some guys just aren't physically capable of doing. So we have had a lot of patience with him. We're working with him, and hopefully as this camp progresses, he's going to get to a point that we can see something and can help us out this year.
How much does that factor in, though? Once a guy has shown the ability to leave camp, how much does that factor in when you say we've got to keep our 53 best players and he's going to be one of them?
Oh, it'll factor in, no question about it. And what we'll look at real hard here is his work ethic and his attitude here over this next 4 or 5 weeks. But when we take a look at him and we do save that spot for him, everything will go into the formula as to whether we keep him or not.
Jagger with a 36-yard field goal try. Missed it. Didn't hit it. And Jagger shows his frustration as he's fighting for a job in this preseason. Raiders lead at 24-21. 9:43 remaining in the first preseason game of '96. We'll be right back. Raiders lead the Dallas Cowboys 24-21. 9:43 remaining in the first preseason game. You see Jason Garrett. Got plenty of work tonight. The number 3 Cowboys quarterback. Garrett firing and finding reserve tight end Bill Kayet, a free agent rookie out of Duke. We mentioned earlier that Mel Renfro, the former Cowboy great defensive back, inducted today into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. You see the Renfro resume. Made the Pro Bowl his first 10 seasons, yet inexplicably has been out of the game since '77 and just now elected into the Hall. Second down play, Harold Barrow has some room over the 40 to the 44, but the flag does fly at the line of scrimmage, so it's likely coming back.
It's an interesting process as to how you get a player into the Hall of Fame, and what happens is it's Super Bowl Saturday, the day before the Super Bowl. Let's listen to Jerry Markbright here.
Illegal hands to the face, number 65, offense. 5-yard penalty, second down.
Unfortunately, Jerry Markbright has had as much airtime tonight as you or I here, Deuce, but anyway.
That's Kevin Doggins, the center, by the way.
Okay. Back to the Hall of Fame voting.
Right.
They sit there on Saturday before the Super Bowl. And what happens is all the representatives from the NFL cities and then the cities that don't have teams, for instance, Cleveland will now have a representative. Baltimore did have a representative, and I believe a writer from Pro Football Weekly, if I'm not mistaken, gets in there as well. So there's about 36 of them that congregate, and you sell the player from your city. Frank Luxa from the Dallas Morning News is that representative from the city of Dallas. So when Bob Lilly goes in, he's the man responsible for getting him in. So he has been petitioning Mel Renfro, and I think Frank Luxa feels worse every time that Mel Renfro did not get in than Mel Renfro did. And I've always been on Frank. I said, Frank, if you can't get in a guy who made 10 straight Pro Bowls, you're going to have a heck of a time fitting me in there. I'll tell you that right now.
Frank's enjoying
Finally, they
his
got
day.
him in, though, and congratulations to Mel Renfro.
New receivers in the game, Mark Harris and Jason Shelley for Jason Garrett. Garrett looking for Harris, and his diving try is to no avail, incomplete at the 36. Also inducted today, Dan Deerdorf, offensive lineman, perennial Pro Bowler. Charlie Joyner. Now you may know Deerdorf from his TV work. Now Charlie Joyner, the wide receiver. Also Joe Gibbs, former Redskins head coach. There's a guy who might make it to Canton someday. How about Joe Gibbs, babe? You've got a little experience with the coach.
Yeah, well, interestingly enough, I guess it just shows you how this game goes. They wanted to run Joe Gibbs out of town in 1981. He became the head coach there. They promptly went 0-5. Everybody said this guy can't coach. He was a guy that Bobby Beathard had brought in.
Garrett to Mark Harris off his fingertips, incomplete. Well into Oakland territory. Harris seeing his first action tonight, a rookie free agent out of Stanford. Couldn't come up with that ball, so the Cowboys will give it up.
That was a pretty intellectual connection right there. Princeton to Stanford. Jason Garrett, of course, a Princeton man. That was a very well thrown ball. Should have been caught.
Harris has my favorite hometown on the roster, Box Elder, Utah. Mark Harris. And Jason Garrett, or John Jett, excuse me, will punt it away.
Unfortunately, I think he may be visiting your favorite hometown very shortly, which would be Box Elder, Utah. Thank you.
Jett missed that thing. Got a great bounce, though, and it's inside the 40 now. Dominique Ross been everywhere tonight, and he downs that at the 36. Let's take a look at other Dallas Cowboys who already have enjoyed a place in the Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio before today. Renfro joins this list. The Cowboys in the Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio.
And if you're wondering, coaches can get elected, or inducted, I should say, immediately. Players have to wait 5 years.
Wes Bender on first down gets about 6. Reggie Reeser. Reggie's going to be sore tomorrow. Reggie has seen a lot of action tonight. His body has taken some punishment on a night where the Cowboys have plenty of folks injured.
This is a great thing for the young guys like Reggie Reeser, guys like Harold Morrow. Here's Reeser coming up, and he does a heck of a nice job taking Wes Bender down. He's certainly got a size mismatch, though, but let's face it, this is their Super Bowl tonight for these guys.
Kenny Shedd in motion. Bender on the carry. Near first down yardage, Herron, the Cowboy reserve linebacker, number 58, initiated the defensive charge.
Eric Herron, an interesting story. He's a guy I talked to earlier in the week. He said he was running with the wrong crowd in high school, and he felt like he needed a little discipline. He joined the Marines. I would say that is getting a little discipline. Then he goes over, he was in the Gulf War and stationed at a post office there in Saudi Arabia. He said Scud missiles were coming down all around him. You have to ask yourself, too, is it more dangerous to be in a Saudi Arabian post office during a time of war or to be in an American post office during peacetime? both very challenging.
Eric Herron told the story that about his military experience and said, you know, when one of the coaches yells at me, I mean, no offense, coach, but it's nothing compared to getting yelled at by a drill sergeant. You know what I mean? He puts it in pretty good perspective. A guy who, as you said, spent 4 years in the Marines and some time defending our country in the Gulf War.
Grew up in Ohio and went to the University of Southern California.
First down at the 47 for the Raiders. They lead 24-21, approaching 6 minutes to go. Montez, the quarterback, steps up, gonna run it. And sliding down at the 45. He slid, and Alan Campos gave him a little help as well. We mentioned Campos several times. They love him as a special teams guy. Look at those eyes. Look at that intensity, huh? Got the hair going all over the place. We'll take another look as Campos puts a lick on Montez.
Now that's a shot that'll be penalized down the line, and it's a shot that if it wasn't 6 minutes left to go in the first preseason game, they would certainly be flagging it. I would recommend him not to do that to Dan Marino in Miami.
Second down and 4. Wes Bender rumbles. First down inside the 40 to the 39-yard line. Like John Rushing in on the tackle for the Cowboys. You see that play that Campos just made. You know, there's a fine line between intensity that impresses the coaches and stupidity that doesn't impress them. But I think you want to, if you're going to err on one side or the other, you'd rather err on the side of intensity in the preseason.
Well, and they like to see that. Deep down, coaches like to see a guy that's going to take a shot at somebody. Now, as you say, you don't want to be stupid about it, but that's something where they'll go back in the film room and they'll yell at him in the meeting, but then they'll point it out to the other coaches and say, this guy wants to play.
From the 39, Bender's been the workhorse, and he's finding some room here finally to the 29-yard line, close to another first down Reggie Reeser made the tackle. Bender, second-year guy out of USC, eating up some ground and using up some clock as we're at 4:40 to go and the Raiders lead by 3.
And talking about that fine line between hitting and stupidity, I'll never forget, and I love to tell the story, Raven Caldwell, I was playing with him in Washington. He was a rookie, and he came down, got his helmet ripped off on the kickoff team. He got his helmet ripped off, he went in, he covered the kick, put his head in, made the tackle, knocked out cold. And we all just looked at him and said, the guy's crazy, but he just made the football team. And he did.
The one play did it for him. That's intensity, huh?
He didn't know he made the football team because he was out still a couple days later, but he did make it.
Flags fly as Jerome Davidson carries the football.
Holding number 62, offense. 10-yard penalty, second down.
Tom Robstock on the violation. You know, you've been through the whole camp experience 8 or 9 times, babe. For those of us who cover it from the media, I don't think we can understand the kind of emotions that go through the heads of these young guys. I mean, every practice can make the difference, and certainly every scrimmage and preseason game can make the difference between a hefty paycheck and none at all.
Yeah, and you really ride along the line of everything a coaches say. Now, veterans, it goes in one ear and out the other typically, but a young guy, I mean, if a coach gives him, hey, that's a good job, you go home and you remember that.
Second down from the 40. Bender again, down to the 32, and John Rushing makes the play defensively. We're seeing a lot of Wes Bender, and we'll get a closer look at him right now.
Believe it or not, there's Alan Campos. He looks a little bit tired, as does Rushing, and there's Reggie Reeser. And typically, you're not tired in a preseason game because guys come in and there's enough players. You shuttle them in and out. Guys typically might get a quarter and a half at most. And this game, a lot of these guys have gone the majority of this football game.
Cowboys and Raiders will see plenty of one another next week in Austin as they'll work out independently and together. There's Bender out of bounds, knocked out by Rushing at the 22. Another first down for Oakland. Raiders lead by 3 with 3:20 to go. The practices when the Raiders and the Cowboys get together can be pretty intense. One of the more interesting weeks of camp in Austin.
You look at Wes Bender. We talked about Dominique Ross on the Cowboys side of the ball trying to impress other people. I think Wes Bender has done it here. If you look at what the Raiders have, you've got Fenner, Harvey Williams, Joe Aska, Napoleon Kaufman. Those 4 are probably locks for the Raiders. So this guy having himself a nice job, whether it be for doing it for the Raiders or for another NFL team.
Jerome Davidson on first down. Picks up about 3. Media was talking with Nate Newton the other day about the Raiders practices, trying to egg Nate on about the fights that always happen. And Nate said, I'll get it over with. Early in the week, I'll start a fight. Then you'll have your fight for your cameras, for your video. We can get it over with. But
it's been a quiet camp, though, from that standpoint.
Yeah.
And as a media guy now, a little bit disappointing because that's the one thing that livens it up. Tika Brown and from Central State, the big offensive tackle, and Alan Campos mixed it up a little bit, but even that was a pretty average fight.
Brown at 350. There's Davidson again. There will be some fun stories there next week with the former Cowboys coming back in Raider uniforms. Brown and Maryland, the most recent.
I think Russell Maryland, it's really going to be beneficial for his career because he's going now to the AFC West. All but one team in that division plays on grass. That would be Seattle, but you go to Kansas City, San Diego, and of course all the games at Oakland on natural grass, and he's had foot problems. That'll help him.
2-minute warning, Raiders lead by 3. 24, Cowboys 21. 2 minutes to go in the fourth. Emmett with a bold new look for summer.
Got a couple of thigh pads on top of his head.
Emmett Smith held out of this one tonight and will be held out for the majority of the preseason, you'd think.
Somehow I have a feeling that he doesn't have anything to prove, huh?
Third down now for Oakland. Montez. Incomplete. Intended for Kenny Shedd. Buster Owens broke it up.
This will be interesting. We saw it on the last field goal attempt. Jeff Yeager hit the deck. It's a new turf, and there's still a waxy substance on it, which is what they came in to ship it with. If you notice, it's a little bit darker. The color is darker, but it also was hosed down right before the game, trying to get some of the film off, and they obviously didn't get it all down. Jeff Jager slipped down and fell on his last kick. Let's see if Cole Ford can just keep his feet.
Ford was 8 of 9 on field goal tries last year in relief of Jager when he was injured. 34-yard try to put the Raiders up by 6. Ford, perfect, and Oakland leads it 27-21. 1:51 to go here in the fourth quarter. Raiders up 27-21. Babe, let's talk a little bit about the Cowboys maneuvering, the Cowboys strategy without Michael Irvin for the first 5 games of the regular season. Troy Aikman will be working with some receivers that he's not accustomed to seeing, to be sure. Stepfret Williams could figure in the mix. The Dion question as to how much offense he'll play as opposed to defense. Kevin Williams is the only truly experienced NFL receiver they have right now.
Right, either way, he's working with an unknown quantity at wide receiver. Of course, Deion Sanders, not unknown to the NFL, but unknown at receiver. And Stepfret Williams being just a rookie. But, I think the one thing Michael Irvin really brings to this football team that obviously he won't bring to it for the first 5 games is leadership. And certainly he had his troubles here, and those may or may not continue. But he's not an Andre Rison type. I mean, Andre Rison was not a leader for his football team. He wasn't a leader for his football team in Atlanta. He wasn't a leader for his football team in Cleveland. Michael Irvin was a leader of this football team. He had guys that followed his lead, and he was such a hard worker during training camp, and that's been well documented, that a lot of guys saw it and said, if this guy can go out and work like he does, and he just caught 111 balls, I can work like that.
Does that leadership stay intact in spite of all that's happened?
I think it'll be interesting, but I think it will. I really do. I do think the players are going to kind of rally around Michael a little bit. No question that he has been through a lot. Now, many would say that he brought it on himself, which would be a valid argument, but I do think they will rally around Michael once he does come back.
Harold Morrow from the 3. 20, 25, 30. Morrow down at the 39-yard line. The Cowboys in decent position as they'll try to drive it one more time. Lamar Lyons on the tackle for the Raiders. Joe Avizano feels better about that play by his special teams unit.
Cole Ford actually had to put his head in there, the Raider kicker. He's saying, hey, you're only supposed to have to do this once a year. We got to start it off on the first preseason game? Look at him. He's enjoying that. He put a pretty good shot on him, too. I'll give him credit. There's Floyd Peters walking by him saying, nice job. Defensive line coach for the Raiders.
From their own 40, Jason Garrett lines up the Cowboy offense. The throw on first down, looking down the right sideline. Jason Shelley tips it, catches it. Touchdown.
Eric Bjornsson is trying to catch up to him. So is Jason Garrett. Jason Shelley is so excited they can't catch him. He's showing some of that speed he used to score the touchdown.
Jason Shelley. Well, cheerleader hit the deck. She's okay, hopefully. Shelley, rookie free agent at Central State in Ohio.
And that's Central State becoming a football factory. Of course, that's Eric Williams. Eric Williams' alma mater. Tika Brown also, the offensive lineman, rookie coming in from Central State this year. And he's a little bit excited, and he should be. That's great.
Garrett threw a nice ball, but it was tipped and bobbled, and Shelley eventually hauled it in. And the Cowboys on the board with an extra point take the lead. 1:35 to go. Mr. Shelley, enjoy yourself. 1:35 to go. As I said, Cowboys lead 28-27. Shelley wants to see the replay.
He wants to see the replay. And he's watching it now. It's shown up here on the big screen at Texas Stadium.
This is our Acme Brick play of the game. Acme Brick, the brick of the Dallas Cowboys, offering a 100-year limited guarantee.
There's Jason Shelley. You see, it's a little bit underthrown. It gets tipped. Jason Shelley does a nice job of keeping his eye on the football, does a nice job of getting into the end zone.
And Jason Garrett now 9 of 13, 170 yards, and a touchdown.
Never a dull moment when the Red Ball Express gets in there.
Acme Brick, play of the game. Don't forget Acme Brick with that 100-year limited guarantee. And that's the Acme Brick play of the game. Garrett to Shelley, and a 1-point Cowboy lead with 1:35 to go.
Jason Shelley may have got the Acme Brick play of the game, but he sure showed some soft hands right there. He won't sleep tonight, I guarantee you. Barry Switzer saying, oh boy, now I'm going to have to answer questions about Jason Garrett being the number 2 quarterback.
Boniel hit the deck as he kicked it that time. The Raiders having trouble hanging on the football. Boniel got up limping just a bit. 32, Alfred Montez is the quarterback. Throwing first down. It was caught and then lost, but now it's called incomplete. A.C. Caswell juggled it and lost it. Montez over the middle. Incomplete to Marcus Hinton, the Florida State. Jim Swans and Darryl Hardy on the tackle for Dallas. Clock moving at 1:05 to go, and Montez stops the clock with Montez. Fires to Kenny Shedd, complete for the first down at the 42.
Best year in the NFL.
First down again for the Raiders and Montez. Dallas leads by 1. Montez looking deep right sideline. Kenny Shedd, touchdown. Kenny Shedd working against Buster Owens. And that's a touchdown for the Raiders, who take the lead.
Left. We'll check out the Red Ball Express again. Jason Garrett, see if he can come up with it again. I've always
extra point for the Raiders, but they're building a permanent practice facility there. And they just like being back in the Bay Area with the headquarters and everything this year, not having to travel back and forth between LA. Harold Morrow exploding on the return. It's getting kind of fun here in the last 3 minutes or so. Morrow gets it out near the 40-yard line, and Jason Garrett will have 50 seconds to try to bring the Cowboys back one more time.
Harold Morrow is an awfully big kick returner. Former fullback from Auburn. They list him at 210 pounds. I think he goes a little heavier than that. If you're interested, Cowboys 6 points down, but still with 2 timeouts remaining.
3-6.
Garrett has Shelley to the right, Gadsden, Davis to the left. Billy Davis at the 40, first down, 35, 30, 20, 10. Touchdown!
I told you he didn't need much time, Mike. He doesn't need much time.
The first teamers, many of them watching and having a great time with it.
You listen to the crowd here, and you wouldn't know by the crowd noise that it's not a full house here at Texas Stadium.
Garrett to Billy Davis. 57-yard TD. It's 34 all, and Boniel with a chance to put the Cowboys up with 40 seconds to go. This isn't quite like the kick against the Giants last year, but hey, it's to go ahead.
It is to me. It is to me. Think of the ramifications if he misses this one.
35-34 Dallas. 40 seconds.
What a game. Sometimes these preseason games can be boring affairs towards the end, but not when Jason Garrett steps into the field. Let's have another look. Billy Davis just runs a crossing pattern out of the slot on the left side. There's Eric Bjornsson clearing out for him. Raiders just do a bad job of tackling and take bad angles on Billy Davis. The former Pitman takes it in.
Jason Garrett, 10 of 14, 229 yards. Had the touchdown to Jason Shelley, and now this one, Billy Davis. Cowboys up by a point with 40 seconds to go.
I'll say this, Jason Garrett spreads it around in the scrimmage against Houston Wednesday night. Touchdown pass, 60-yarder to Ed Hervey. 47-yarder to Aronde Gadsden. Comes back, throws Jason Shelley one, and now Billy Davis. That's a high-priced coach, isn't it?
Aikman's had the headset on for most of the second half, left the game after the successful drive early. So, Jason, how do you do it?
I'm not so sure they shouldn't stick with that combination. Typically, it's Jason with the headset, Troy with the helmet.
You won't get a lot of
support.
People no, you may not want to float that one out there. Raider return to the 40-yard line. Andrew Glover, the tight end, on the special teams unit, picking it up that time. 36 seconds to go. Cowboys leading by a point in what has turned out to be a wild and woolly preseason opener here in the final quarter.
Our statistician, Chris Hall, has just handed me a note with 88 and then a question mark, like who needs him? I guess that one would fall along the same category of maybe let Troy wear the headset and Jason play, right?
Yeah, or don't really worry about the Emmett contract. That would be the same kind of logic, I think. Alfred Montez, the young rookie free agent quarterback for Oakland. Pumps. Tries to get it out to Bender, but overthrows him out of bounds, stopping the clock with 30 seconds to go.
Mike, how would you like to be Alfred Montez? I mean, a minute ago, what am I saying a minute? 16 seconds ago, he was all ready to call home, call his brothers, call his family, tell them what happened, if they weren't already watching on a satellite or something. He's getting congratulations from all his teammates, the offensive line coach, the head coach. Then all of a sudden they said, Alfred, you're back out there. We're down.
Garrett hit Shelley. The Cowboys went up by one. Montez came up and hit Shed. Raiders led. And now Garrett to Billy Davis in a Dallas lead. And Montez is in some trouble. Gets out of bounds just ahead of Kavika Pittman at the 42. Picks up a couple. And it'll be a third down and long upcoming.
That's a good job of hustle there by Kavika Pittman. That's what Jerry Jones paid him for. But if Kavika Pittman doesn't chase him down, Montez had a lot of running room. The Cowboys defenders were all way downfield. Here's Pittman just giving up good chase and does a nice job too. You see a lot of young guys want to take that extra shot at the sideline. He lays off him, avoids the penalty.
There's Pittman, Cowboys top draft pick this past year. Third down coming up, and Montez calls the timeout with 23 seconds to go, and the Cowboys leading 35-34.
Montez probably getting a little more action than he had anticipated coming into tonight's game. Hostetler, of course, kept out of the ball game, but then Billy Joe Holbert goes out early, which makes David Klingler play a little bit of an extended period, but that's a great opportunity. The most precious thing you can get during the preseason is playing time for a young guy. Well, it's not very precious to Emmitt Smith, but he's not so young anymore.
He's confident he's going to get his work. That's for sure. Kevin Williams, Emmitt Smith. You see Leon Lett and Deion Sanders, who's held out because of a hamstring sprain.
Don't say held out when Emmitt is on the screen.
Yeah, right.
He's been through those before, and we don't want anybody to just tune in at the last second after getting something out of the refrigerator. Hear the word holdout and see Emmitt Smith.
The word contract wasn't in the sentence. Third down and 8. Raiders at their own 42. Montez in some trouble. Got it away to Bender. Out of bounds at the 47. It'll be a 4th down and 3 coming up.
Bender did a heck of a job there getting himself out of bounds, dragged Alundis Bryce, and then finally Reggie Reeser came over and almost got himself a penalty, but I think the officials want to get out of here.
Darren Benson had a hold of Montez. Quarterback was able to get it away. 4th down now and 3. Final shot at it, we think, for the Raiders.
Well, one timeout left too, so if they do get this timeout, they're undoubtedly going to stop the clock here, or get the first down.